Wednesday, April 3rd, 2024 at 6 p.m. Calling Lakeville Board of Health meeting to order. Is anyone recording this meeting? See no one. LakeCAM is recording this meeting. First on the agenda is to reorganize the Board of Health members.
I'll make a motion, we make Derek Maxim the chairman.
I'll second that. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
Huh? You can't vote yet, you want to member yet. But now you gotta vote for Chris to be, now you're an actual member.
Okay. I make a motion to vote Chris Bratt, second member of the Board of Health.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I abstain. I'll make a motion that we make Bob Palucci the third member of the Board of Health.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
I don't think we messed that up.
Now we have to close and reopen again?
Yes.
Yep. I'll make a motion, we close that part of the meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 So you're actually open a public hearing this time.
Now Derek, open up the public hearing.
Okay, I gotta read. Hold on. A public hearing will be held by Lakeville Board of Health at Lakeville Police Station, 323 Bedford Street on April 3rd, 2024 at 6 p.m. for the proposed regulations of Lakeville Board of Health in outdoor dining areas pertaining to allowing dogs in restaurants. The proposed regulations may be obtained online or from the office of the Board of Health located at 241 Main Street, Lakeville, during regular business hours. So I'm calling the Lakeville Board of Health public hearing to order. It is actually 6:04 p.m. on April 3rd, 2024. The procedure on this, if anyone would like to speak to it, once we talk about it, just state your name, come up to the speaker, and we'll address you. So first, I guess we'll go on to reading actually, I'll open it up to the public to see if there's any discussion on, yeah.
Good evening. Brian Donnelly, 6 Parkhurst. I love this motion. I think will be good for everybody in town. Hopefully it passes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments from? Yes?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, Derek Maxey, 55 Long Point Road. Does this mean every business has to allow it?
No.
No, it does not.
Okay.
It's strictly up to each restaurant. If they want to allow it, they'll have to notify the Board of Health prior to it and have an inspection of the restaurant to make sure everything we have listed on it is done before it is allowed, but restaurants do not have to. This is only if they wish to.
Then I'm in favor of it too.
Okay. Anyone else?
I said the same thing. I was like, wasn't gonna make people, and it's only outside, so
It's
it
just
can't go
outdoor.
inside,
It's
so.
on a golf course, I have to get over it.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't think anyone's in favor of making anyone do anything they didn't want to do.
all right, then go ahead and read as proposed. I don't think we're gonna make any changes, right?
There is actually one change to this that was not listed on our website. We added one last line. I will read the entire thing in its entirety before the motion is made to approve it, but it says all restaurants that wish to allow dogs in outdoor dining areas must notify the Lakeville Board of Health to do an inspection of the dog area prior to allowing dogs in the restaurant. We added that one.
At the restaurant, not in the restaurant. They can't go in no matter what.
Correct, it's in outdoor dining areas
Okay.
only. This is not for their dog, only service dogs, I believe, are allowed indoor, correct?
Yeah.
Any other discussion on approving this?
I don't have anything new.
Okay, and this will,
If you wanna change it now.
I wanna change it to at.
Yeah.
which one are we changing?
That one you
The
just
last
read,
one.
I'd like to make a motion that we change, the dog area prior to allowing dogs at the restaurant, since
Or-
they're not gonna be allowed in the restaurant.
Or at the outdoor
At
dining,
the outdoor.
dining area of the restaurant.
Okay.
That was-
At the outdoor dining area of the restaurant.
Yep.
I'll second that.
Do we actually have to make a motion on the, just
We
the
might as well,
change?
cause this is what we added, so we
Okay.
might as well change it.
I
Okay,
heard you say motion, so.
Yeah.
That was.
so he seconded, all in favor of changing this?
Aye,
Aye.
okay. Now read it with that change. All you're doing is taking out one word and then adding that.
Yeah, you have to cross out in and add out, at the outdoor dining area of
Yeah.
the restaurant, yep. All right, so by adding this, it'll be in our local regulations, it is now gonna be regulation 22. And it will say dogs allowed, again up top, dogs allowed in outdoor dining areas. Restaurant owners who choose to allow dogs in outdoor dining must abide by the requirements below. Restaurants shall have the right to refuse any dog that is not a service animal from the restaurant. So that implies in a restaurant.
Inside,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
inside. Dogs are not allowed indoors or anywhere food is prepared, not even to walk through to outdoor area. The restaurant shall have the right to refuse to serve the owner of the pet if the owner fails to exercise reasonable control over the pet dog, or the pet dog is otherwise behaving in a manner that compromises or threatens to compromise the health or safety of any person present in the restaurant. Owner is responsible for the behavior of that dog. And the dog must be on a leash or in a pet carrier. Restaurant employees are prohibited from petting or playing with any dogs. Dogs are not allowed to eat or drink using the restaurant glasses, plates, utensils, tablewares, linens, or any other items involved in food service operations. Dog owners should bring their dog a disposable water bowl. All dogs have to stay on the ground. Area for the dogs must be identified with a sign posted at all entrances to outdoor area. Signs are not required at restaurants that choose not to allow pet dogs in outdoor dining areas. All dogs must be licensed and vaccinated against rabies. Restaurants must develop plans to handle dogs and their waste. Accidents involving pet dog waste shall be cleaned immediately and the area sanitized with an approved product by restaurant workers who do not prepare or serve food. A kit with the appropriate materials for this purpose shall be kept near the designated outdoor area. All restaurants that wish to allow dogs in outdoor dining areas must notify the Lakeville Board of Health to do an inspection of the dog area prior to allowing dogs at the outdoor dining area of the restaurant. That is the motion to be approved as written.
Want to have any more discussion before we,
Any other
Oh.
discussion?
I don't have anything.
everybody good? I'll make a motion to approve the regulation 22 as read.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, that's done. Now we
Okay.
have to close that hearing.
Make a motion.
I'll make a motion that we close the hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. we have to reopen, correct?
Now you gotta open up another meeting.
Okay. It is Wednesday, April 3rd, 2024, at 6:12 PM. Is anyone recording this meeting other than LakeCAM? I see no one. I'm calling the Lakeville Board of Health meeting to order. First on the agenda, Crooked Lane, continued for March 6th meeting, meet with Foresight Engineering to discuss requested variances.
I will continue to recuse myself at this one.
Okay, Chris Spratt has recused himself.
Good evening. As we discussed last time, we're requesting a variance for new construction, having tanks within the 400-foot setback of the tributary. Surface water supply in Zone A. I know that Derek wanted to talk with the water departments, which is part of the requirement for asking for the variance. If he had any communication with New Bedford or Taunton. And I know the other issue was the discussion of the easement, which the client is here tonight, and he can explain how he would handle that if that came to fruition. But I know the board was kind of up in the air on this, so I'd like to hear your comments if you have any questions or.
Okay, well, I'll go back to the original request letter, I guess, and I'll just state from there. So this was from Foresight Engineering. Dear board members, the property located at Crooked Lane falls entirely within the Zone A mapped by the state tributary to a surface water supply. There was a purchase of 2007 by my client with the understanding it was a buildable lot. The denial of this request will make the property unbuildable and cause my client financial damages as well as loss of property. So there's just two variances requested, is one for the septic tank to be within 200 feet of a tributary and the pump tank. So I guess on that one I'll start on. Just have tons of papers tonight.
Yeah.
So looking back in the records of the property, prior to 2007, I believe it was owned by Black Beer Cranberry Corp. In 2005, they submitted a plan for a septic on the property, which was denied by our previous Board of Health agent in 2006 in writing in the folder. So it was all documented. It was
Okay.
entirely in a Zone A all the way back to 2005 and 6 and denied as a Zone A. I know.
They were also proposing the septic though within the 400 foot. Not
Within the
just tank.
200.
Yeah, not just the tanks.
Right, everything was within the
Right,
200.
we're just proposing the tanks. I would understand if we were now proposing a septic within that, but I think the variance requires us to show some sort of financial hardship, which obviously if the lot is unbuildable and he was expecting to be buildable, which it meets all the town requirements for a buildable lot, then that is a loss in his book. It also expects us to prove that we're maintaining environmental protection by putting the septic 430 feet away from an irrigation canal to a cranberry bog, that's upland bogs. I think we're maintaining that protection. The only thing in the zone are the tanks. We're speccing, as you requested last time, H20 monolithic tanks, both tanks. They're not in the water table. We can put rubber boots on them if we need to make them more safe, but you know, looking at this tributary all the way to the pond, you have 72 lots that no matter what, the tanks and the septics are within the 200 foot.
Right.
So I feel like with us having the septic outside of that 200 foot and outside the 400 foot, we've done our share of protection and maximize that. As far as all these other tanks down the line, will they all be H20 monolithic tanks also? I can't say that, I'm not the engineer, and I don't expect this to hold a precedent for that, but they probably should be if that's the concern of denying this project, is because the tanks are within the 200 foot.
Right.
We're maintaining 100 foot from a cranberry bog ditch.
Okay, but I still wanna go back to what's happened since then. So as of 2007,
Yep.
it was purchased. The bogs were filled in. We have aerial pictures before and after when they were filled. A new plan was proposed in 2007, meeting the 200-foot buffer, which was needed at the time, and approved. So I have before and after pictures of bogs, so
Oh, you found that one?
yeah, so it's all documented. So at that time, obviously, everyone knew it was in a zone A, whether we
Mhm.
did prior to purchasing this, I don't know, but we knew, now we know it's in a zone A.
Yep.
So after that, so a house was built on this one parcel back in '07, which was all one.
Yep.
Fast forward to 2023, 70,000 square feet were divided off this parcel, which had this house on it,
Mm-hmm.
and created its own lot fully in a zone A that's everybody's aware of.
Yep.
With a working cranberry bog on it, that still has a working cranberry bog that it was divided off of for that reason.
Yep.
So, you know, on my feeling, this was divided off solely with every intention, knowing it was in a zone A, to be just a sole cranberry bog, which you still have all the benefits of that cranberry bog. We're not denying you any
Yep.
benefits of what this was just divided off
But
a
it is
year ago.
also a buildable lot, according to the town zoning regs. It's a
Not as
buildable-
far as the zone A
But
through DEP.
According to DEP, it's not.
It is,
Right,
it's
so
new
that's why we're
construction.
asking for a variance.
Correct. Which you are allowed. I can't deny you are
I
allowed.
can't say that he's,
Um,
the only loss he has is he wouldn't be able to build a house. That's the only loss that we can
Correct.
prove.
Right.
And that's basically what the regulation says, is I have to show that there's some sort of loss. I know that he maintains cranberries, he's still gonna maintain cranberries afterwards. But the bonus of a house on the lot that he can live in while he maintains it is worth something to him. So
Correct.
I
But-
understand that, it doesn't say I have to prove a hardship, it just says I have to prove some sort of loss.
Well, it actually says that all beneficial loss of the property. So it's not a loss. It
Yeah,
is
I can
like
read
it's-
that.
It's less valuable. It's, by denying the variance, we're denying him all beneficial use of the property. That's what the actual waiver says.
Yeah, well, benefits above what he already had. So if I already own woods and then I wanna put a house on it, I don't lose the woods. I can still cut
But
down
you
every
can't
tree if
create
I'm
your own
allowed.
hardship, you know that. You can't break off a lot and now claim it's a hardship because you can't build on it, when you already know it's in an area that you can't build on.
Let me just finish.
But
going
that's not
through-
part of the regulation. The regulation doesn't state when the lot was created, doesn't date like some of these other ones where the lot had to be created before 1995, before, to meet the riverfront, to be
Let
applicable.
Derek finish what he was gonna
There's
say.
Yeah,
no
then I'll
dates.
pass it to Bob and then we'll open up, because I know Derek would like to speak on it. So I'll just read what Ed was just talking about.
Yep.
310 CMR 15.410(2) states with regard to variances for new construction, enforcement of the provisions from which a variance is sought must be shown to deprive the applicant of substantially all beneficial use of the property in order to be manifest and just. That's right from DP, so I think that's what Ed was just talking to. So, you know, on my feeling, I just don't see how it's manifest and just because it was just divided off, knowing we're not depriving you of the working cranberry bog. So that's my feeling on that one. I don't know, again, I'll have Bob pass it over to him.
No, I agree. I mean, we've gone around with some other people in zone As and we haven't granted any of them. The only time I've done any variance on new construction in a zone A was next door when Kevin made the mistake, and then that actually was, I felt a hardship because he approved it and then we didn't find out until after the fact, I think is how that played out. But now just create new lots and saying, well, it's unjust if you don't let me have a new lot, even though I built it, I divided it off in an area where it's not buildable. I just don't, I'm just not in favor of that.
Ed, do you have any comment? And then I'll put it up.
No, I think you guys covered it pretty well.
Derek Massey, landowner.
Yep.
Yeah, and just, I know you mentioned several times that I would have been aware of this and all this. Well, apparently the Board of Health wasn't even aware of it when I cut off the other lot because it wouldn't have been approved back then. So just for clarity, I was not aware of this zone A, whatever this is. I didn't own it in 2007 when you mentioned all that. I bought it in 2008. And I bought it with the intention that we were gonna get the 3 lots. Matter of fact, when my wife and I went through our divorce, it was even just described all through there, and none of this was brought up. And it only was brought up when Ed brought it up when we went to build a house after we put 2 wells in, one for there and one for this other house. So this whole time, I assumed I had both lots there. The well was put in, he's got the information all on it for this house. So this is like a new thing to me. All of a sudden, you know, you spend this money, buy property, you do all this engineering, now you're being told that, you know, it's like everything else, something comes up and it doesn't meet whatever. And it's sad because it wasn't in a zone. I think the zone A started shortly before, right around the same time that I bought it with the DEP. I wasn't aware of it. I don't even think this board was aware of it then, that this was, I have original plans that show none of my ditches were in a zone A. That was changed later on, probably in like 2013 or something. So no one knew, I never knew when I bought it. And I wasn't trying to sneak a lot through or something like that. So, I mean, just clarity, I had no intent, no understanding this was ever gonna happen and I'd
So-
lose my lot.
When you bought it, I know our as-built in 2007 has your name on it.
So that was,
And the bog was filled then, because I have pictures of it.
that was Bob Jeria who
So
actually.
you didn't actually fill that, so you weren't aware at the time why
No,
they
Bob
filled?
Jeria, no, it had nothing to do with that. Bob Jeria was the one that bought the property before me. He only bought half of it, put a foundation in, and he had a septic design and his well was already in at that point. But as far as what I did, no, that was just squaring off a bog. That had nothing to do with that. That wasn't a requirement of Board of Health. Under the DEP regs, we can square off bogs all we want. That's what we do. But that had nothing to do with the 200 foot. That was all approved before I even owned the property.
Okay.
So, just for clarification.
I don't think there's any question about, you know, filling the bog or anything like that. But the email and this clearly show that it did not meet the original setback of 200 feet, because there was a 200-foot setback there. And the only reason you have a 200-foot setback is because it's a tributary to a surface water supply. So that was in 2006.
Before I owned it.
Correct.
Correct.
You had nothing to do with this.
Right. So it
But-
must have meant it before I did any filling in then. Because you're saying it meant it then. I didn't do that until 2009. And it was just squaring off the bog had a big like belly in it. We just squared it off.
And no one's disputing you can fill it in or not, but like I said, we were just trying to determine when it was determined to be a zone A, and based upon the evidence, it's prior to 2006. Now, you may have not been aware of that, and you may have filled it for your own reasons, that's fine, but we just wanted to establish that it was in a zone A in 2006, and it has been. ever
But it was
since.
only a 200-foot setback then.
It's always been a 200, it's still a 200-foot setback.
We're 400 feet away.
No, you're not.
Yeah, we are with our septic system from the
For
actual.
your field, yes.
Yes,
We're not talking about the field. The variance is
but
here
the
from 10.
zone, that was a zone B then, that was a tributary to it. Now we're being called a zone A, which has a 400 setback, so it's not the same thing. Being a tributary is not the same as a zone A. The zone A is 400 feet.
No. The zone A is 400 feet, 200 feet, or 100 feet, depending on what it is. 400 feet from a surface water supply, 200 feet from a tributary, 100 feet from a wetland to a surface, either a tributary or a surface water supply. That's the zone A. And your field is 400 feet. There's no issue with the field here.
But the
your
field for
tanks-
that other house is in 400 feet. That's what I'm saying, is the house that's built in 2006 that you're saying was in the zone A is not 400 feet from anything.
Because it's not a reservoir. It's not a surface water supply. It's a tributary to a surface.
But
water
it's not
supply.
even, I don't even think it's 200 feet. I think we
It
have
is
to be.
200 feet.
It
We
is
have an
200,
as-built that
okay.
shows it's 213 feet.
So I guess and I had that question to Ed, because I was trying to clarify why.
So then why
yours
now
say
is our field 400
You don't
feet?
need to be. The discussion with Ed, we pulled up Title V, because it's not a surface water supply. That's if you're on Long Pond or on Assawamsett.
But it's the actual body of
You
water.
need to be 400. So
It's
you're
the
a
actual
tributary.
body of water is the reservoir and the stream, and that's a running connected body of water. It's one piece. It's not
Tributary.
broken. It's not broken anywhere.
But it's a tributary too, is what that's
But I'm
considered.
pretty sure that the zone A said we had to be 400 with our leach field from.
From a surface water supply, correct.
So right there, we could have been 200 feet away, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
But we still need the tanks 100, and that's what
Well, I mean, we just did. Ed
Right, so
went out
I
there,
was
did
just
the
trying to
work. We just did
clarify.
everything. We thought we.
So, and when we looked into this.
So maybe I
pulled out
misread
Title
that. I thought
V.
zone A was a 400-foot setback and
That's
that's how I
only on the
read that.
ponds, when you're on a surface water supply, you're not on a surface water supply. You're
But I
only
read
on
that as a
tributary
body of
to-
water and not a tributary. A tributary could be something that dries up, a tributary can be a drainage ditch, a tributary can be many, many things. I'm pretty sure the zone A applies to the body of running water and standing water, which would be the reservoir.
For the 400-foot setback, it's a surface water
Water supply,
supply.
the actual
So
point
it's,
of
it's
what's-
Assawamsett Pond, it's Long Pond, it's, you know.
That's
Quiniquisette,
the only
Pond.
two that we have, is just
Yeah.
those two. So it's 400 feet from that edge of that bank. So
Okay.
really, your field only needs to be 200.
Yeah, well, I
tanks need to
think
be
that when we did the perks, Ed was
Yeah.
there. He, very incorrigible. He thought everything was going good, this and that. It was not, this never came up, that this was gonna be a problem, you know? And it's just kind of sad that we're talking about a tank, and I have the means to put the leach field 400 feet away, but because of this simple tank, like, can we put the tank in the house? Can we put it under the basement or something? I don't know, but I just, you know, it's, you pay all these taxes for these separate lots, and then all of a sudden you go through, and been through it before, you know, to the Board of Health, it's the, building department, all this stuff, and it's just hard to keep up with all this stuff, you know, and it's constantly changing. Now, I was told by DEP it didn't change till 2009. That's what Jim McLaughlin from DEP told me. So this is new, that 2006, that it changed.
Because I thought in 2006 it was an outstanding resource for water, because I remember it was Outback that did the plan, because I was at Outback and I was out there on the site with Niles. I know the house was the first reverse walkout I ever drew. So I would know it was involved, and I remember it being a 100-foot. We couldn't have anything within 100 feet. I don't remember the 200-foot, but that must have come up afterwards.
And they're just outside the 200.
Yeah.
Once that bog corner was filled,
Yeah,
because you can see the foundation already there when that bog was filled. in the
Right.
Aerial photos.
Right.
Yeah, it's clear, it's on the photo.
So you're saying that what you want me to do is fill in the ditches so that there's no,
There's, I can't,
I mean, that's kind of what it
Right.
doesn't make any
I
sense.
can't tell
I
you
mean, I'm
what
just
to
looking
do
for
or
a
what not to
stupid
do, that's totally up to
two-bedroom
you.
house is all I'm looking for. I mean, I'm not looking for, we hear so much, McMansions.
Right.
I'm looking for a little.
and we are, I mean, again, like Derek's saying, is the level of protection. We're asking for a 100-foot setback. Yes, it's a tributary, but it's a ditch.
Right.
A cranberry bog
maintained.
ditch that's got
Right.
trucks and machines in it and driving around it and fertilizers and everything else that's used in the bogs. It's not a natural stream or a natural tributary. This is a man-made item that could be filled in for that 100 feet, and then maybe I can get 200 from the edge of the bog. I'm not sure. I don't think I can, but
I don't think a tributary is determined whether it's man-made or not. Tributary is determined it's going to a surface water supply. That's the only concern. And they usually do that is when these rivers or man-made trenches or whatever you want to call them enter the thing, they do testing there.
Yep.
And if it has high levels of nitrates and dissolved oxygen, they determine that's going to be a zone A because they're trying to protect that. So they do
But
that.
I mean, I have an approved farm plan by the federal government. I've got culverts in place in multiple places. I got a bypass canal that holds anything that, I don't let water go unless I contain it for 24 hours. We use best management practices. So nothing, nothing even from my bog is gonna go downstream. I mean, we're very cautious about that. I'm a third generation cranberry grower. I know how this is done, and I'm talking about, a small house that's gonna be 100 and something feet away from my own ditches that, if you want me to fill them in, I can fill them. We've done it before, but it's not like it's a direct connection to downstream. I've got a culvert right at the road. It's gonna go through 3 culverts before it even gets to the other side of the road.
I mean, tributaries go through multiple culverts. Again, it's not, there's no determination that. It's just, if it's going to the surface water supply.
No, I understand that, but
It's damaging the surface water
You
supply.
have to
That's
agree
the
that
intent.
DEP took a lot of rights from a lot of people when they did this.
They're protecting their ponds because
No,
that's
they're
what
protecting
surface water.
everybody's ponds.
It's a surface water supply for close to over 250,000 people.
No.
And that's what they're concerned with. And if you just keep building and developing in these areas, it won't be able to be a surface
But
water
Mr.
supply.
Chairman, I think we all agree 400 feet away from there is a good place to have a leach field.
Yes, it's
Here.
better than 200, but you could be 200.
Yeah, but I'm
Sure.
willing to do the 400.
Right.
And we're talking about a tank. And, he's suggesting a tank that's not gonna leak. And I don't care if it's a 2-bedroom house, I'm not looking to do a 4-bedroom house or anything like that there. I just wanna do a small A-frame, glass front house, so we can overlook the bog. I mean, that's all we're talking about. And, yeah, the hardship is I lose the lot, and, you know, and then I guess try to find somewhere else to move the house 50 feet back or something.
Right.
But it just doesn't make sense, because I've already had a survey, and believe me, it was never brought up when I put the well in. And so I did one well for the other house, one well for this house. And never brought up when we did the perk, and we did all that. Ed was there, and he said, this would be great to see it 400 feet away. No problem, that's what we did. We had a survey station, all this. Never was it mentioned that I was gonna have to come back here for a septic tank that doesn't leak anything out.
Just for the record on what you're saying, it's not my job to tell you, you can not do a perk there. I go out and I evaluate the soil. It's very good soil.
And you
Yeah,
said that, and you said it was good, that it was far enough
There are
away.
no issues with the soil there. When I'm doing a perk, that's what I'm doing. They're the ones
I
who
know that, I
determine
know that.
that. I don't make that determination, and I don't make prejudgments on someone to do a percolation test. So, when I went out there, I was just evaluating the soil. I'm sorry if you got the wrong impression.
Oh, no, I
wasn't giving
don't
approval to a
think
lot
you
or
did
anything
anything
like
wrong.
that.
I just think
involved.
it's the level of protection here, like, we are talking about a tank. We're not talking about a leach field. Was 2007, that's what it was approved of, a leach field, which now is just 13 feet outside the setback if someone filled the bog corner. But we have 71 other houses that are on this tributary those aren't just the lots, there's probably 100 lots, but 71 houses and septic areas that are definitely
Right.
within
I
this
think
tributary setback.
that's the reason why I think DEP and Title V are putting the Zone A in under new construction, because they don't wanna have 73 lots now in here. They don't want people to keep building in the Zone A. That's why they have it.
We
So
can't
and it
use that as a
says-
standard.
So if we move the septic 200 feet away,
Which you can.
tank in the leach field, we drain it to that.
Yeah, I just don't know how you get the septic to it, that's the problem.
No, I'll dig the ground down, I'll just dig it out, and I'll put it there. I mean, that's my other option.
There's ways, you're right, I'm sure there's,
So if I come back here with a proposal to put a septic tank 9 feet in the ground, you're gonna be okay with that? Because that's what we're looking at, that's what he's proposing,
But
so I'm
you
just,
need a waiver to put a septic.
Right,
tank
that's
in.
what I'm saying. So if
What's
I-
the depth that it has to be, 8 feet?
3 feet is the
Well,
max.
the H20 tanks are good for 8 feet.
Right, but
You-
3
right,
feet
but-
over is, and then now it's new
It's a danger
construction,
to the
so now
person
you're
going
giving me
down.
a variance for new construction from the actual code that's not really allowed. So let's not put ourselves in that situation either. The only way you can get this out there is if you put the house up on top of the hill. They
you
have
move
to
the
be able
house
to get it
back,
there.
right?
The house has to be higher than the septic system so we can get it there.
So it'd be a tall house.
Yeah, so there's no way you can do it. You're talking like 15, 20 feet. It's just hard because it is a tank.
Right.
It's only a tank and it is a cranberry bog ditch. It's not a stream. The streams are over here and that's what we documented on the last plan that we did get approved because of the hardship. That this is where the water actually runs historically. It's not near this bog area. That's what that 400-foot line is. That's why it doesn't line up with the bogs. Because I thought the stream was part of that 400 foot according to how I read the code. And again, it's an interpretation of, I read it as a body of running water that drains to a surface water supply as a zone A. You don't just look at a well and go, well, it's 100 feet to zone A. No, you go by the gallons per day. And I believe the code was meant to read that anything within that zone A shouldn't really be there for new construction, for a septic. So I do agree with that. And obviously my job is to protect the groundwater and do the best I can. And I feel like this is not endangering the tributary in any way unless someone is to let these tanks overflow on the ground.
But they got pumps and everything on them, right?
Yeah, and you got alarms, you got everything there. I mean, I just see a lot more impact on the pond with what we do in Clark Shores with tanks in the groundwater, under the groundwater, within 100 feet. I know there's existing homes, but still the level of protection, you're saying that those tanks are okay and that pond is protected and that tank is completely underwater and within 100 feet. Yet here I am out of the water table with an even heavier and monolithic tank, and you're saying I'm going to endanger the environment.
But DEP clearly makes a difference. When it's for new construction, you have a higher standard. Those other ones, like I said, we would have to kick people out of their homes and destroy their home.
Right.
And that's what.
But it's the level of protection. So what environmentally are we doing to endanger this tributary? You're the Board of Health. It doesn't matter when the law was approved.
But again,
It doesn't matter.
it's 3 criteria, one of which is an equivalent level of environmental protection.
Right.
The other 2 is is it manifestly unjust to deny this variance? And two, what we were saying earlier, does it prevent him from all beneficial use of the property
Right.
in denying the variance?
But again, like
So-
not all beneficial use, because if I own woods and I wanna build a house, you took away a big part. Here, we just happen to have bogs. What if this was all woods and I was asking for it? So you've taken away now, it's
Just so
benefit,
you
but
know,
he can,
Darryl,
he
we
can
went
still
through all
cut the
this
trees
with
down.
somebody over at Heritage Hill a couple of years ago during COVID. And that was a lot in Heritage Hill, but they were, right, it was the same situation pretty much, right? So we ended up going.
Oh, I know that
going-
lot, that
almost
lot
going
went for
forward,
years, he
yeah.
missed the timeline that he should have made and that,
Yeah,
but that lot is a postage stamp and you were within 100 feet of the tributary, with the whole system again. So the one you denied before for this law was for the whole system, this is just the tanks. So I think the precedent, yeah, maybe people now can buy lots around the pond, they build a house and put the tank and they pump it 400 feet away. Are you still protecting the environment? I believe so, and you're giving your taxpayers use of their property. Yes, they have to ask for a variance, but I don't know, what is manifestly unjust? That sounds kind of like an opinion to me. Is Derek losing a buildable lot that's worth $400,000? Do you think that would hurt you? I think that would hurt any homeowner that's out there that has a piece of property. I mean, that's the point, is to what point are we talking? Yes, he still gets to use the bogs, he already has the bogs, but now he's losing the benefit of building a house.
But like on almost every waiver on all the waivers they've granted, I believe, they've improved the situation. As in, you had a cesspool in the groundwater, in the groundwater table, and then now it's 4 feet above it. So yeah, it may still be worse than what you're talking about now, but it was a substantial improvement from what was there. Whereas in this case, can you say that, doing nothing is the exact same? I mean, you're actually putting stuff there,
Yeah.
and you're not making an improvement. In every other waiver they've granted, it improved. In this case, when you have a wooded hill and you're gonna tear down, put a big house there and two lots, or even if it's only a 2-bedroom house, and you're gonna put 2 tanks in the ground, is that an improvement? And that's usually why you grant a waiver, is because you're getting the improvement.
I think on a lot of those, it's the tight lots like that, it's the septic, and we're not talking about the leach field, because that's a no-brainer. We know it should be as far away as possible, but we're talking about a tank that should never, ever leak, and if it did, there shouldn't even be waivers for it.
But
Right.
there's a reason why DEP doesn't allow tight tanks.
Well,
Like,
but there's
there are a
reason
number of
DEP
lots.
allows the Board of Health to have the authority too.
Yeah, we can allow, like I said, in an existing house, they can allow a tight tank there.
They
but
can, they can do it, I mean, I've got a barn there, I've got my barn there and stuff, and right now, if I have to go to the bathroom, whatever, I've gotta either run back to my house or run to the golf course or something like that, because I don't have a bathroom there, and this was gonna give me a place, so I'd have a bathroom right there, and have a shower or something like that, right next to the garage. It's gonna go 20 feet away from my building that's already there. I've got workers, where do you think they go to the bathroom? You know what I mean? They're just going wherever they can. So I mean, it would be nice, to have a house there where people could actually use it. If something happened, if they get hit with pesticide or something, go rinse off. I mean, so it's gonna improve the property a lot versus, I can't control where they're gonna go to the bathroom, this and that. And it just gives, it really gives a place for the bog so these people could be there. I didn't think I was asking for a lot. I thought this was kind of a simple thing. Because I went and did the 400 feet away, never thought it was 200, 400 feet was fine with me. And the soils are good, and I'm just looking at a tank, that's all. Like I said, I don't care if it's a 2-bedroom house, that doesn't matter. I just want something right there on the bog, so I can monitor. I lost quite a bit, I lost 30 grand last year because of frost, because I couldn't be there to watch the frost. And you have to be right at that pump house to watch all the heads and all that. And that's my goal, is to try to have something right there. Whether it's me or whether it's one of my workers that can stay there and watch it for me. But I mean, honestly didn't think this was gonna be a big deal, because it was just a tank. And
Well,
Darren's done a great job with
you
this.
mentioned the guy from DEP that doesn't agree with us. If you want, I'm willing to give him a call and continue this to our next meeting so I can talk to him about it.
Who's that?
You said his name a few minutes ago.
Oh,
You said
Jim
you talked to somebody
McLaughlin
from
is the chief
DEP
water
and,
guy.
and he said that
He
we're
said
wrong,
this law
basically.
came into effect in, I believe he said 2009, the tributary. So what happened was, what you're talking about was the, prior to when I first bought the bog, there were no blue lines going through the ditches, and that was in 2008. Okay, and then shortly after that, 2009, that might have been when they added the tributary part to it, because they only used my reservoir, and the little river that goes through under the road was what they considered the public water supply. And I still have that plan showing that there were no lines, and then 2009, by the time the town's got it, it was probably 2011, and they put all blue lines in my property. And it's like, oh, this is great, now I've gotta deal with this.
But I mean, prior to that, I mean, we have a letter in 2006 stating it was in zone A, right in the folder.
200-foot setback.
What,
to a
200
separate
foot,
point.
but I'm saying,
Right,
you know, and.
from the corner of the ditch.
Right,
And-
I don't have that letter, cause I didn't own it then.
But it was in the folder, I mean, that's how we found it.
I don't have
It was
this folder
from
either, so I don't have that.
Larry Perry, Lawrence
And
Perry.
that was somebody else, that wasn't me at all.
And it was said it was denied at this time, it does not meet the minimum setbacks in Title V.
But it
The
got
Mass
approved.
GIS
Yeah,
shows
they
a
made
200-foot
water.
setback,
No, it had nothing to do
therefore
with the bog, septic was. had to be
effectively
brought
makes
by
it an
pushed
acting tributary.
No, I did that.
No, they pushed the septic 213 feet away is what they have an as-built of, so that's how far away it is.
No, what I'm saying is, when I bought the property, the septic was already approved.
Yeah.
They never touched the bog. Matter of fact, he had hay bales all the way down the side of the bog, because he wasn't gonna use it as an
They're
agricultural.
just saying that
production.
that 200 foot was already in existence, and that was before you bought the property.
And
Yeah.
it
So
was
these
noted it
setbacks
was in
that were-
existence.
Claiming, but
Okay.
again, I go back to the code, and it doesn't, nowhere in the code does it list that the lot had to be created before the date of this, before 2000, like it did for, you were grandfathered until 1999, if you remember, from all the tributaries and the surface water supplies. So that was that lot in Heritage Hill when we were cramming, trying to get that corner lot in and approved, and it just didn't work. I mean, it didn't make sense to put a house there at that point, so it didn't get approved, and then I heard it came up again. But this code doesn't say anything like that. This is just a straight variance request. There's no time frame. It doesn't mention that the lot had to be created 6 years earlier, or before the prior owner, or before mapping. It just says we have to show that we're a level of environment, which I have to agree with Ed, is doing nothing better than putting 2 tanks in the ground. Well, of course, because you're digging and you're putting something in the ground.
Right, so it's not, so.
But are we detrimental to the environment by what we're doing? As an engineer, I find that hard to believe that these tanks are all of a sudden gonna leak and get 100 feet away into a ditch that he controls for 24 hours and contaminate everything. So I find that a little more difficult than the tanks that are in the water table, underwater, and we're expecting homeowners to maintain them so they don't overflow. That's a little tougher for me, even though I have to design those too, because we have no choice. Here we have a choice. I'm allowed to ask for the variance.
Right.
That's all I'm trying to do. You know, I'm not a confrontational person. I don't like to argue. I just want to do my job, and everyone interprets things a different way. And I just look at the environmental safety here is, I mean, it's like Derek says, it's better than it's going to be, because now you have somewhere for these guys to go to the bathroom. There's 30, 40 people working on the bog.
Well, and they could, there's porta johns, I mean, you
Yeah,
can't use
I
that
mean-
as an argument, you should have a porta john if you have
You
employees
can.
working
No,
on your
that's not-
property,
that's not-
so.
That's not.
But it's-
Well, you can't say you need a
You had a
house,
house with a bathroom on the bog.
and you just divided it off last year,
Cut it
On a
off.
different
and you
property,
made this
He
lot.
sold it, yes.
So, on the 3, things that you need to prove under the Title V, I mean, I just feel that none of the 3 have been met. You didn't make it more, environmentally by adding a tank. I'm not saying the tank's gonna leak, but you're not making it more. It's not manifest injust, because you still have use of the property. It's not depriving you of full use of this lot. It's exactly what you just divided it as. And even 2007, you might have not known, maybe didn't know the bog was filled in. Well, we've already gone through
Well, I know,
this with you
and-
2 years
And you
ago
would accuse me that
on another lot,
road.
on the same property that
No,
Kevin
I'm
had
saying
approved.
on-
So
on
you
Long
knew
Point
this
Road.
was in,
No, but no, I'm just saying, on Long Point Road, you accused me of knowing something. I'm not
right.
Einstein here, and you were wrong when you did that, and I took offense to that because I don't know the Board of Health rules. All I know is I'm trying to be a landowner, I got bogged, this and that, you know, I pay a lot of tax in town, I wanna put a single, small house there, and now it's a matter of just moving the tank
Well,
100 feet
it is a
further away.
4-bedroom house designed on this plan.
I
It's not a
I
single
offered a
small.
2-bedroom is what I
But-
did, I offered a 2-bedroom is what I offered you.
Because it doesn't matter the tank size, they're not gonna, you can't put in a
Yeah,
smaller
right, it's a
tank, so
minimum
why wouldn't I
1,500
just do
to
6
combine.
bedrooms? I mean,
Right.
the tank size doesn't matter how many bedrooms, because our system is the 400 feet.
But also on this property, you know, you were before us 2 years ago on a previous property that got approved in the zone A because it
Got approved
was
by this board, right?
correct, because it was,
And not
And
then,
that one I
and
agree with.
then when I wasn't told that then. So how would I have known?
you knew it was a zone A then when you were just here in front of
No, I
us.
did not. It was, you guys approved it.
But yeah, he understood that then. He knew that the leach field had to be
Right.
more. He thought
Right.
that the tank wouldn't really be an issue because the lot lines are already created. There's nothing he can do about the lot lines. That's kind of his hardship, is the lot lines are where they are. I can't move the back lot line to get further from my own ditch. I can fill the ditch in, so I'm not 100 feet
Correct.
from the ditch now. Then I'd have to be 200 feet from the other thing. So, I mean, if he fills enough of the stuff in, I can get to 200 feet, but that's not really what we want to do either.
Can I just clarify something? You said this board approved it.
The Lakeville Board of Health.
Yeah, it was originally approved by a health agent and it never went
No,
to.
no, yeah,
the
but, yeah, but that's semantics. The board approves everything. You said that early in the conversation. It's up to the board.
No, on the original approval,
Yeah,
they
You
never
weren't even
saw
here.
it
We
because
You weren't even
they
here.
didn't
Just-
recognize
I
it.
know, but you weren't.
I
here.
understand what happened then. I was the
Okay.
engineer, so I know how it happened, and I know why that one was granted the hardship for the septic, and that was the
the
whole
reason why
reason.
we granted that.
And that was the whole
And we
reason
could
why
have
we
denied
wanted
that.
to-
Because you
yeah.
guys
We
created
could have
that-
denied
because
that.
this board created the hardship by approving something and
But
then
the
telling me
engineer
later.
didn't submit it in a zone A, which the engineer screwed up. It
Yep.
should have been submitted in a zone A.
Yeah, and
We
as
could
soon
have
as I
denied
brought
it.
it up, I
We
knew
could
there
have
was a
denied that,
mistake.
period, with a well or not. We could have just said no to you.
But the presumption was you didn't, so the question on my end is.
Because of
it-
that
what-
reason.
Yeah.
Not because you just divided this lot off
I
a
think
year
we just
ago,
have to separate
took
the
your house
issues,
off it and
because it
wanted a
doesn't
new
matter.
one.
It doesn't matter
it's-
if you approve the other lot already. It doesn't matter if
Yeah.
anyone thinks there's a precedent. It doesn't matter. You think we don't meet the 3 items to.
Nothing has swayed me differently. I
Yeah,
don't think you meet the 3
and I can't
items.
sway the board. All I can do is argue the
I mean,
board,
Bob,
and if
if
Derek
you-
wants to hold off and not have you vote, and maybe we try
No,
and
just gonna move
revise
the
this.
tank 200 feet. I'm gonna get it anyways.
So we'll try and revise the plan to get the 200 feet
And
away
then you don't even
from-
need to come to the board. It'll be approved.
Well, that
in-
would be a
in-house.
lot better.
Right, it'll be improved.
I don't know what's going on, but I understand.
So, I mean, you wanna just deny this one and then
No,
we'll-
we're just gonna, rescind
Ask-
without prejudice. We're gonna just
Yeah,
walk out
we're
of here.
gonna revise the plan and see if we can make the 200 foot. So we obviously understand that the board's not gonna grant the
Right.
variance. So
Not for
I'll
me-
rescind
not
this
for me
plan
anyways.
and we're gonna come back and,
And you only need to be 200.
yep, 200 feet.
200
So
with the
I gotta
tank.
get the tanks 200 feet from all those lines and I'll see what I
Correct.
can do. I understand,
Me
no
too.
problem.
Should we take a, we don't need to vote, or we need to withdraw?
Nothing to vote on.
I
We
think
talking about if
Rescinded
they're
it without
revising it.
prejudice.
you could just vote, continued per received plan, revised
Nope.
plan received by
I don't-
Ed and,
No, I don't want them to vote. I just want you to rescind it without prejudice.
Okay,
okay.
can you do that?
Yep.
Can you say
I
that?
think, yeah, I think, cause yeah, I'll ask you to rescind it without prejudice, and I guess just the town fee will still be paid, and we'll have to
Well, if they vote on it, then you could have a 2-year period on, so I don't want them to vote on it.
Yeah, so,
Okay, so make a motion on that.
No, no motion.
No motion, you, so
yeah, we're just gonna withdraw our
Withdraw.
application.
Withdraw the
Yeah.
application without
Yeah,
prejudice.
without prejudice, and then we'll submit some.
Thank you, guys.
all right.
Thanks, Derek.
Yeah, no problem, guys.
All right, next on the agenda,
We gotta wait for Chris.
we will call Chris Spratt back in. Okay, Chris is present. Next on the agenda, Golf Blues LLC, doing business as LeBaron Hills Country Club, establishment name change. They need 2 permits. Change the food establishment permit and the milk and cream permit. I will take votes on them separately. But Ed, is there any?
No, it's just, it's the same, same staff, same building, same everything. They, whatever reason, decided to change their name. So it's a new food establishment permit, so we have to get approval. But, yeah, we inspected them recently. Everything's in order. So there's no issue there. They've long had food establishment and milk and cream permits and no issues.
No one's left here to ask for comments, so I'll make a motion that we approve the establishment name change for the food establishment permit for Golf Blues LLC, doing business as LeBaron Hills Country Club.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 I'll make a motion that we make an establishment name change for the milk and cream permit for Golf Blues LLC, doing business as LeBaron Hills Country Club.
Second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that is approved. Next on the agenda, item 5, discuss the recent Board of Health agents pending items. So I'll turn it over to,
The Board of Health has no pending items.
okay, does anyone have any discussion to the board on pending items or any discussions?
No, I'm good.
No, just do the rabies clinic.
Okay, we'll move on to number 6 on the agenda, announcement, rabies clinic at the Lakeville Highway Barn. I will read the notice. It is this Saturday, April 6th, 2024. Dogs are from 1:30 PM to 3 PM. Cats are from 3 PM to 3:30 PM. The fee is $10 per dog or per cat. The location is at the Highway Barn at 6 Montgomery Street, Lakeville, Mass, off of Precinct Street, and it will be held indoors in case it is raining. It is sponsored by the town of Lakeville, the Board of Health, and the Lakeville Animal Hospital. Dog licensing additional. Requirements to obtain a license is a current rabies certificate and spayed neuter certificate. Please note, dogs and cats must be at least 3 months old. For safety reasons, dogs must be on a leash, cats must be confined in a safety carrier. And also, the animal shelter will be open for an adoption of animals if anyone is interested in adopting an animal. That is it on the agenda. Is
There's no minutes on this week's, right?
no minutes? Any other business that may become,
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.